Hello, Internet, and hello, Guardians. Welcome to another episode of the Engram. So, hope you are all having a fantastic time. I also hope that you all are enjoying this week's special event, the Iron Banner PvP event. Now, I talked briefly about this. Well, I didn't really talk too much about it. I just kind of mentioned it in passing on one of the more previous episodes. One of the more previous? That doesn't mean anything. One of the previous episodes, I talked a little bit about it. But I wanted to talk in depth about Iron Banner and some of the issues that have been brought up that I feel are wholly justified about Iron Banner. Now, I know as of this episode, there's only going to be a couple more days left of the event, but it will be coming back, so I think it's justified to talk about some of the issues of this first implementation, this first round of Iron Banner, and what really needs to change the next time it goes around. So, no Ghost this week or this episode. I know it's, I made a promise that I do this show every week and probably more than once a week, but at least once a week is kind of the motto. But anyway, no Gilbert Ghostfried this episode. As you all know, before I get into the actual show, you can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes. You can also find it on gkick.net, and of course, you can find me on YouTube. Sorry, it's late. I'm still recovering from my illness, as you can possibly hear. So, just trying to get over that. Anyway, let's talk Iron Banner. So, Iron Banner was originally hyped to be the final proving ground for PvP. The place where players would let not only their skill, but the gear that they'd spent so much time working toward do the talking. It was the place where there was no more gear parity, like there is in Crucible. So you could go in there with all this great raid gear and just dominate. Or at least, really be a much more powerful entity in PvP. And the problem with this is that the delivery of Iron Banner, and not just in this aspect, but in a couple others that I'll talk about, it did not deliver on that promise. At least not the way that we believed it would. So, the only real disparity in the PvP right now, in the Iron Banner right now, is as of 7 levels, according to Bungie. What that means is that you could theoretically go into Iron Banner as a level 5 and still fare well, or at least pair up well, to a level 20, or a level 29, or 30. And that's a problem. Because here's the deal. If you want that all-inclusive, skill-based PvP action, that's what the Crucible was built for. And I think the Crucible is awesome. I've run my first couple Crucible events recently, and I had a lot of fun. I never thought I'd like a PvP FPS mode, but I really do enjoy Crucible. That's what Crucible's for, though. Players of any level, of any gear type, can just go in there and have an even playing field to put their skill to the test. What Iron Banner should have been is the equivalent of Battlegrounds and Arena in World of Warcraft. Let me explain that to anybody who's not played World of Warcraft. There are 2 major PvP modes in that game. The Battlegrounds, which are groups of people, not pre-made usually. Sometimes they can be, but generally they're not. They're match-made groups of teams of people against the opposing faction. And there's various stages with different objectives. Usually it's, capturing node points and things like that. But it's fairly low intensity. It's something you can do without a lot of pre-planning because of the matchmaking. And it's actually, it's not quite as forgiving as Crucible is. Because you still need to have PvP gear and things like that. And I know the game has changed. It's been a few years since I've really been into it very much. So either way. Then there's the Arena mode, which is a 2v2, 3v3, or 5v5 pre-made team that you put together of people to compete in special arenas in actual skill-based PvP. And it's one of the more competitive modes of Warcraft PvP. And that's what a lot of people thought Iron Banner would be. A lot of people thought that in Iron Banner, you would get some of the top-end people with the best gear and some of the most skill to really test their PvP mettle. And it's not that. It just feels like Crucible turned up a little. Like a little bit. But that's it. You know, here's what I thought Iron Banner should be. I thought in Iron Banner, you would have to be at least level 20, max level, and you would then start basically at the bottom rung as far as gear goes. Now, you would still be competitive. Like, I didn't think the disparity should have been so severe that you could have gone in at level 20 and been utterly demolished by level 30s. However, they would have had a distinct and major advantage as far as damage dealt because of their better gear. And that should have been obvious. You know, that should have been the goal. Like, that should have been the high-end, high-level PvP area. The equivalent of the PvP endgame, so to say. So if you went in at level 20 and somebody else was level 30, you might be able to beat them if you got them in the right place, if you beat them via skill. Because skill should trump all, to be honest with you. When it comes to PvP, skill should always trump all. But if you can't beat them in skill, if they got a few lucky shots on you, you were done. Like, that's the way it should have been. So, I don't think you should have been allowed to do Iron Banner before level 20, because if you want to do PvP before level 20, there's the Crucible, and it's perfectly tailored for everybody, and I think the Crucible's great for that. But Iron Banner does not deliver on what it really should be, which is an endgame PvP experience. And I know what you know, like I said, the gear disparity shouldn't be as bad as you might think between 20 and 30. You know, maybe you could balance it out a little bit more just so the level 20s still stand a little bit of a chance. But if you're going to go in and do, you know, Iron Banner, it should be expected that you're capable of running raids, or at the very least, doing the Nightfall events. You know, if you're not even that capable yet, as far as gear or skill or whatever, then you should stick to Crucible. You know? Stick to the PvP that's tailored for you, and not the event that's clearly built around being a special endgame kind of thing. At least that's the way it should be. And I think one of the reasons Bungie was reluctant to do it that way is probably one of the reasons you might hear a lot from MMO developers, or really any developer that introduces content in MMO fashion. And that's they want to try to offer the content to as broad of a crowd as possible. But Iron Banner is not like a special zone. It's not a special region. It's not a whole new map or anything like that. It's just a special mode with certain game rules that only special people should be capable of doing. Think of it like, you know, heroic mode in Warcraft raiding. You know, only a few people are going to do it out of the whole game community, but it's something special for them to test their skill. And that's what Iron Banner should be. And I hope that Bungie really listens to what the people are saying about the faults in this and fixes it. Now, that's not it. That's one of the big issues, is just the event is disappointing. One of the other issues is with how it's being implemented. Right now, there is no penalty, no real penalty, for leaving an Iron Banner PvP match. Win or lose, you still get rewards, but if you bail on a game, you know, winning you get more rewards. There's a benefit to winning. So leaving has no penalty. You can just re-queue again, and that automatically tilts the game in the favor of the team who didn't have anybody who quit. That's a problem. You know, it's something that even Blizzard learned eventually. There are people who are going to quit matches for legitimate and for because they think my team is terrible reasons, whatever it might be. And the problem is you really need to, you know, nip that behavior in the bud before it gets out of control. So how do they do it? You could penalize experience, you know, maybe. But the obvious and easy fix is to put a cooldown on that player. I think if you quit out of a PvP match, you could even apply this to Crucible, just to avoid, that bad kind of behavior. If you quit out of a PvP match, you get a 15-minute debuff where you cannot re-enter a Crucible or Iron Banner PvP match for as long as that buff is in effect. Now, that doesn't impact the people who have legitimate reasons for leaving, because if you're legitimately leaving the game, then you'll probably be gone for more than 15 minutes. And if not, maybe you'll be gone for 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever. So the penalty will be less of a problem for you, or no problem at all. But if you're one of the people who are leaving the game just to try and re-queue for a better one, then yeah, that's going to stop you. And that's going to be a discouragement from doing that. So it's a very simple fix to a problem that needs it. And I don't know what Bungie's going to decide to do, but all I can say is I hope that they actually do something to fix that. Because having no reason to stay in a match when you're losing, and no penalty for quitting a PvP match, it's just a no-brainer. Why would you stay? Just quit out. I'll try again. There's no penalty for me doing it, so let's just try again. So hopefully that gets fixed before the Iron Banner returns. There's a couple more days left of it. It runs till the 14th. I have not personally done it. I'm just sticking to Crucible for now. I've only run a couple of Crucible events. I'm level 24, so I'm working my way up. But I'm still enjoying the game. I'm looking forward to seeing what else comes. As you know, every week we get more and more from Blizzard. Looking forward to the next event. But with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up here. If you have any questions or comments, don't forget, reach out to me on Twitter at gkickshalthis. Reach out to me on Facebook. Link is in the description. It's also on gkick.net. It will soon be facebook.com/Shalthis, hopefully, once I get enough likes on the page. But either way, the Twitter handle works. You can also leave comments on YouTube or comments on the post on gkick.net or on Facebook, wherever you happen to be or see this. Reach out to me. Let me know about any comments or questions you have. So that is going to do it. I will see you all next time. Happy hunting, Guardians, and farewell.